Hey guys, so yeah, just going to try and do a live lesson if you want to start playing over some changes. The blues is a great one to start with, so I'll wait for a few more people to come and I'll put the chord chart in there and I've pinned the backing track that I'm using. It's just a 12 bar in B flat. So I'm going to be going over from some of the early basic stuff that you can use from pentatonics to some of the other more advanced things you can use over a blues. Talking chord tones, talking scales, talking loads of different things. So we can start right from the bare bones, but I'll just wait for a few more people. Hopefully they come in. If not, we'll just get going. I know it's quite early. It's like 10:30 in the UK. So you guys in America are either up late or you can't sleep. So I know it's early and maybe you're working, but yeah. So in a B flat blues, or just blues in general, I just picked B flat. It's a really nice way to start playing over some changes. Now, of course, if you're playing I'll play the chords first. So you got a B flat 7, okay? Or if you're used to, I don't know what voicing you want to do, but yeah, B flat 7. So this is the one chord. Yes, I do view it. I view every scale as intervals. Obviously, you learn the shapes, but I do see the intervals, yeah, of course. So I'm targeting those. And we can talk about that here as well, but yeah, I am. Yeah, I put out a pentatonic scale video about visualizing the pentatonics wherever you are on the neck and going to a non-diatonic chord. How would you change and how would you see that? I'm going to do a part 2 to that, probably record that today or tomorrow. So in a B flat blues, we have a B flat 7, or you can use like a B flat 13 or whatever, or B flat 9. But the important sound is that flat 7. What do you mean, Demetrius? And when you decide that you are fluent with a specific scale, so you can move. Do you mean how do you know when to go on to the next scale to learn? So yeah, B flat 7 going into an E flat 7, or again you can play an E flat 9, back to a B flat 7. So this is a 1 chord going into a 4 chord. So you have this. Simple stuff to hear, you've probably heard it 1,000 times. Back to the 4 chord. And then you are to the 5 chord, which is an F7. Just when you've drilled it in enough so you know how you can play it in your sleep. I think that's when you know. 1, until you're sick of it, and 2, that you can just play it in your sleep, whatever scale you want to do. So this is going to test that in a minute with this blues, because the nice thing about playing over a blues progression, they are all the same type of chord. They are all dominant chords. So you got the first chord, B flat is a dominant chord. These are all dominant. 5 chord, back to the 4 chord, back to the 1. So you got B flat, E7, F7. Now, the tonal center here is like the B flat. You can look at it, but you're changing to 7 chords in each one. So the B flat, really the 5 chord is the dominant in the key, right? So that's the true dominant, but you're changing them. Like normally in the B flat key, this would be a major, this would be a major 7, and then this would be the 5 again on the dominant chord. But in this case, we're keeping them all dominant. So B flat, E flat, F, all dominant chords. So what makes up a dominant chord? So it's the first, or the root, the third, the 5th, and the flat 7. You can omit the 5th if you want and just have 1, 3, flat 7. That's giving you a sound of the major chord with the 3rd, and then the flat 7 making it dominant. So here's my 3rd, here's my flat 7. So the first thing to do when you play over this kind of progression is get what you're comfortable with. So most people will just play B flat blue, like pentatonic, so blues. So that's fine as well. So if I just play. that's just all pentatonic, but what that does is it doesn't give you the sound of the chord. So the first thing you need to do to make sure you can hear the sound of the chord is hit the chord tones of the chords. So for instance, over the B flat, I'm making sure really the thirds. So third, if I'm in this position, that is. So even just playing the pentatonic and adding in the third, so for instance I could play B flat pentatonic, right? Adding in that third, so that's the major third, so the minor pentatonic has the minor third, having the major third, and you've heard that a million times as well, that kind of, so literally adding the major third, if I just go over the B flat first, adding that in with the pentatonic is going to make it sound instantly more bluesy and give the sound of the chord. So if I'm like this, if I play it from the start, so already that B flat is standing out a bit more because I'm putting that major third in, rather than it being minor pentatonic. I'm adding in the minor pentatonic with the added third in. So what we can do is add this for each chord. So I'm going to use the bass of B flat minor pentatonic, and then I'm going to add the third of B flat. When it goes to the E flat, so this would be in bar 5, if you look at the chart there, I'm going to still play, think B flat minor pentatonic, but then I'm going to add the thirds of E flat. So here's my E flat, I'm thinking 1, 3, 5, flat 7, because it's a dominant chord, 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So if I target my thirds of E flat, so it's good to map them out before if you don't quite know the fretboard so much at the moment. In order for the chords to stand out of what you're playing over, it's important you hit the chord tones. So again, like I'm using the B flat minor pentatonic as the bass, because I'm in B flat, but over the B flat 7, I'm really trying to target the third. Okay, and then over the E flat, I'm going to try and target the thirds of that. So for instance, if I'm in this position, my third of B flat is here, or here. My third of E flat is here, and here. So if I just think of B flat minor pentatonic, then jump on the thirds and the chord change, you hear it starts to come out a bit more. So again, if I play from the start, so B flat, so third, hear the third, it sounds really nice against the, back to the third of B flat. You see, so already it starts to sound a bit more cohesive with the chords going on. I'm not just playing B flat minor pentatonic, which is what a lot of people would do. I'm targeting the chord tone. So if you're just joining me, that I'm doing the B flat blues because it's great if you want to start getting into changes playing. They're all the same type of chord. They're all dominant chords. So we can think the same over each chord, right? To start with, there is other things we can use over different types, and we'll get into that. But because they're all the same dominant chords, we can start to use the same thing. So I'm talking about hitting chord tones first. So over the B flat 7, I'm thinking B minor pentatonic. Sorry, B flat minor pentatonic. But I'm thinking about targeting the third, because the B flat 7, because it's a major chord, has the third. The third has got the characteristics of giving that chord. So even if there's no track there, if I'm like, sorry. You can hear just that B flat chord because I'm hitting that major third. Apart from the start was a bit, but yeah, so I'm going to hit the thirds of B flat and then hit the thirds of E flat when it lands on that. So here's B flat to start with. So you hear, I just did just B flat. So hitting, this is the major third of B flat. it goes to E flat, I'm making sure I land on my E flat chord. So even if the chords weren't there, you can still hear. You can hear where the chords are going because I'm playing it in the lines. If I just stuck to pentatonic and went, you can't hear the changes because I'm not implying it in the chord, where the chord progression. The chord progression is telling me what it wants to play. So then when you get to the 5 chord here, back to the E flat, the 4 chord, back to the 1. So again, on the 5 chord, I'm implying where is that third, and I can see the third of F, 7. I can do the same thing with E flat and just move it up, but I want to try and keep in one position, so. So this is where arpeggio is important. So over the first chord, I'm thinking B flat 7, arpeggio. Over the E flat, E flat 7 arpeggio, back to B flat, then F7, oops, whoops, yeah, then back to F7. But you don't even have to know the arpeggios to start with, just try and hit the target notes of the chord. So if I do that for every chord, I'm just going to play B flat minor pentatonic, then hit the thirds of when it lands on each chord. Ha! Hello James David. It's different spelling though. But you can join the club. So here's B flat with the third in it, okay? So B flat third, and I'll surround myself with that. E flat third, back to the third of B flat, see? So it instantly sounds a bit more musical when I'm hitting the chord tones. So I'm just hitting the chord tones on the changes, and you can hear where, instead of me just relying on the B flat minor pentatonic, which a lot of people do, you start to articulate the sound of what's going on a bit more. Has anyone got any questions about that? Yeah, we do almost have the same way. And you play guitar, I guess, as well. No, it's pronounced like David. Yeah, it is. Sorry. Yeah, it is. Because it's like the Welsh way. Yeah, you do. So over that B flat, you can think B flat major pentatonic, which would be the same as like G minor pentatonic. So over the 1 chord, that's quite nice. So instead of playing B flat pentatonic, you can play G minor pentatonic. So like. Yeah, so I'm thinking, and like guys, I'm not really a strict like blues player, you know, but I know the sound of the chords, and it's, you know, it's not really, you go and listen to someone like Josh Smith or like, you know, B.B. King, who are the guys for that vocabulary and language, but I know how to play over the chords. So this is going to give you something. Maybe you are a blues player or a rock player. This is going to help you. So yeah, I'm pinpointing the chord tones basically. That's the first point. Well, actually, the first point was just using the minor pentatonic over everything. So B flat minor pentatonic, and then using the chord tones of the chords. So over the B flat, I'm really hitting the thirds to begin with. So a good practice thing, right, is to try and do thirds and then root for each chord. Just keep it as that drill. So over the B flat, third root, or I can do third root here, or third root, third root. So really I'm going minor third, so flat 3, 3, root. Wherever you find it, okay, if I just keep to this area. Then you would do the same for the E flat, so you can hear it already, that chord. So the flat 3, 3 root is blues basically. You can hear that, so flat 3, 3 root. If you can drill that then over the F, I'll play it over the track so you can hear. So I'm going to be flat 3, 3 root. You could just play third then root, but I mean the flat 3 gives it that kind of slide. So if I'm like, to the F, back to the E flat, back to the B flat, and then it stays on that B flat. So normally you would go back to the 5 chord at the end there, but this one doesn't. So do you know what I mean? I'm going, so pinpointing all the flat 3 thirds to the root. So I'll do it again. So if I combine that with the pentatonic, say, so you kind of, it's a drill, but then you can start building it up into the improvisations that you're playing. So I'm thinking like B flat minor pentatonic as my bass, and then I'm trying to get those flat 3 to the third to the root to make it sound a bit more and articulate the blues kind of thing, or just give you the sound of the chord, whatever style you want to do really, it doesn't really matter. So like, see what I mean? So already it's sort of picking up a bit. So what you can do is just maybe the first bit you go and then follow it up by with a bit of pentatonic. And then into the next chord, then you're playing with pentatonic. You can use your blues scale as well. So obviously the flat 5 is really nice. So this is just the basic, like, first level I'm talking about here, of how to start articulating the chord changes. Just try and target those thirds and surround it with the pentatonic you're doing. So I'll go again from the top. I'll wait till it comes back round, so it's F. Okay, so B flat, bit of pentatonic. So again, B flat. yeah, does that make sense, guys? I wouldn't view Dorian as an extension of the pentatonic. I kind of see it in its own way, but I can see the pentatonic within the Dorian, yeah. So this goes on to modes here. So over the B, we've talked about articulating the chords. So the next point is what scale can we use over each chord. Now you can treat these chords separately every time. So over the B flat, I can think B flat mixolydian. So for the B flat, I can think B flat minor pentatonic, B flat mixolydian. Sorry, I need to clear my strings. So for the B flat, because mixolydian is your chord scale for this type of chord, the dominant chord. If it was a B flat 7, B flat 9, B flat 13, you can play mixo, basically. Well, not basically, you can. So it goes without saying, learn that all over the neck. And I'm going to be talking about this in a future video of how I learn scales, but don't just learn one shape like this. Be able to play it everywhere. So if I'm here, on B flat here, I can so you can play it everywhere. You could do, I mean, I did a bit of legato there, but I mean, it doesn't really maybe work over this kind of, if I went. Doesn't really work over that kind of style, but you can give it a go. So yeah, B flat mixolydian. Over the E flat, I'm playing E flat mixolydian. So again, I'm not going to go B flat here and then go, because I know that one shape. Try and find your nearest E flat. So for instance, here's my B flat, here's the E flat. Try and find the nearest mixolydian shape that you know. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a video on this soon, probably in the next day or so, on how I learn scales. I did a brief pentatonic one, but that goes on to the next stage where you're learning your 3-note per strings kind of thing. So, guys, if you haven't done already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Much appreciated. Doing a lot of lessons lately, so it does help me out because it's all free kind of thing. But yeah, just trying to grow the channel a bit. So if you do, or if you haven't done already, I really appreciate it if you give the thumbs up button a push and subscribe. Anyway, back to the guitar. So E flat mixolydian over the B flat, over the E flat, E flat mixolydian. So what are the intervals of a mixolydian scale? So it's exactly the same as a major scale, but you have to flatten the 7th. So if I'm here, I'm playing B flat major, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to the root. No worries, Demetrius, carry on. Pleasure. So you got B flat major would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root. Mixolydian, because we have to respect what the chord is, we got a flat 7, we have to change that note of the major scale to a flat 7. So a mixolydian scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. So that's that. That's what gives you that bluesy sound, that flat 7 as well, which is also found in the pentatonic. Okay, so you have the flat 7 there. So we can add in the mixolydian. So what we have, we bring in the sound of the 9, the 3rd, major 3rd that is, the 4th is already there, 5th, we bring that sound of the 6th in, flat 7, which is already there in the pentatonic, and then we're back to the root. So if you can learn that for each chord, so B flat mixolydian, and then E flat mixolydian is here. So again, I'll explain in a future video how I find the scales, but this is E flat mixolydian for you. So it's 1, 2, so E flat major would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, major 7. So you have to flatten it. Okay, so E flat mixolydian over the F. These are just the first options I'm using, guys. There's plenty of other scales we can use, which I'm going to be talking about in a sec. But over the F again, F mixolydian. Now I could do the same shape as the E flat as I did for the F up here, like you can see. So here's F, F mixo, and then E flat mixo. But because I want to stick to this area, I'm going to play it off a different finger. So here's... Okay, that's the handy thing with playing scales, is trying to find the nearest place you are already on the neck and playing the scale forever. You need to be comfortable with playing any scale, really, from any finger. At least on the E and A strings, because like what I've said before, a lot of people just learn one shape. So here's C major, then they'll say if I need to play G major, they'll just use that same shape. But in order for you to find scales quickly, you need to be able to find the next nearest note. So if I'm in C major and then I want to G major, I'd go right underneath my finger. So you need to be clear of where you are on the fretboard all the time. So again, brushing up, over the B flat 7 chord, I'm playing B flat mixolydian. I'm thinking that. Over the E flat, I'm thinking E flat mixolydian. Over the F, I'm thinking F mixolydian. If that makes sense. So I'll show you what those will sound like. I'm just going to play it really slowly over the track, just so you can hear what the scale actually sounds like over the chord. So if I'm like, so B flat mixolydian, E flat mixolydian, back to B flat mixolydian, F mixolydian, E flat mixolydian, B flat mixolydian. So that's where the changes get tricky when I'm trying to talk at the same time. So what you want to do with that is maybe slow the track down to start with, but make sure you learn the 3 positions of the mixolydian in one position. So B flat, mixo, E flat mixolydian, F mixolydian. So where this gets tricky, right? Because if I was to do this and try and keep the same shape over each chord, so I know it's a mixolydian I'm playing over each chord. If I was to keep the same shape, it's going to sound terrible and disjointed, right? So watch, B flat mixolydian. Then E flat. Back to B flat. F. E flat, B flat. Do you know what I mean? I'm not making... I can't just use one shape, it's impossible. It's just not going to sound good, it's disjointed. So you need to find, wherever you are on the neck, that nearest note possible to play the scale from. So what we need to do is find the root notes. So over the B flat, I'm thinking middle finger position to how to play the scale. Over the E flat, right underneath me here, I'm thinking from the root, middle finger. Where's my F? It's here, so I can think little finger. So look, I've played all those shapes. That is the same as going. Look how much movement I have to do. It's just not great. I mean, a lot of people rely on that and they get scared of, not scared, what's the wording? Like, it's so much, but you have to find, because in a lot of those scales, there's a lot of common tones as well. So I'll show you a great way to do it, to drill those in, is to play the scale what you want to play, and over the change, go to your next nearest scale note of the next chord. So if I went B flat, then it changes to E flat here. I'm going to go, right, I'm here. Where's my next nearest scale note of E flat? And it's here. So I just carry into E flat mixolydian. And then it's going to go to B flat. So I'm back in B flat now. F. E flat, back to B flat. Does that make sense? So I'm finding the next nearest note, and it's way better than just going like this. And just going up with the shape you know. So try and find the next nearest chord tone. Anyway, sorry, your next nearest scale note is the way to do it. So I'll try and do that over this now. And I'll try and call out loud. It's hard to play at the same time. So B flat mixolydian. E flat mixolydian. B flat mixolydian. F mixolydian. B flat, E flat, B flat. And I'll go again. So it's B flat. E flat. B flat. F. E flat. B flat. So that's quite hard to do if you're not familiar with the shape of your scales. I'm doing a video on this, like I said, if you're just joining me. Probably today or tomorrow. I did one of the pentatonic a couple of days ago, how to like just switch pentatonics on the spot. This is going to be very similar, but it's just a bit of a level up from that. So when you employ the first few things I've talked about over the B flat blues, this is a great way, if you're just joining me, the great way to just start playing over changes, because they're all the same type of chord, they're a dominant chord. So you can play B flat throughout the whole thing, minor pentatonic. Then we talked about hitting the chord tones of each chord, so particularly the thirds. So for the B flat, I'm making sure I find my thirds. Over the E flat, same, the thirds. Over the F, the thirds, and then back. Then we talked about the chord scale you can use. By the way, guys, I'm taking on a couple of online students at the minute. So if anyone would like some online lessons, one-to-one, via Zoom or whatever, we record the lessons as well. I just ask that you keep the lesson video to yourself. But yeah, I'm taking on a few private students. I'll type my email in to the chat if anyone would like some. But yeah, give me a shout. I've got a bit of a limited availability at the minute, but so if I start mixing this together with the pentatonic, hitting the chord tones with the mixolydian, it starts to come about, like the chords come alive a bit more. So yeah, you can hear a bit. So I was just mixing it up a tiny bit, maybe articulating the thirds a bit too much, but making sure I hit my thirds. And because if I take away the chords, say if I didn't have this backing track now, if I went like, you can hear the chords without the chords being there. And that's really what you want to do, because the pentatonic doesn't give you that. It gives you some nice things that you can use and nice phrases, but it doesn't help build the structure of the chords. Okay? It's a bit like, I always think of it like, you know, periodic table. It's like you have the elements, and and like H2O is water, that's the formula. You have to respect the formula of what's going on in the harmony. So if it's a B flat 7, okay, I'm thinking I need to give over the sound of that B flat 7. So I'm going to, of course, play the pentatonic, but I'm going to link it in with the chord tones. I'm going to link it in with the chord scale. So in this case, mixolydian. Okay, so I've spent a good 40 minutes on that. So we'll up it a bit and see if we can add some different things what we can use. So one thing it's really nice to do if you want a bit of quirkiness and a bit of spice to that. We've kept kind of in at the minute. It's quite, not safe, but it's nice, okay? So if we want to add a bit more, you know, pizzazz or whatever, is that a word? I don't know. You think of the word, let me know what word. Over this 4 chord here, sorry, before that, getting from the 1 to the 4 chord, so the B flat 7 to the E flat 7 or the E flat 9, or you can, it's B flat 13 to an E flat 9. We can play, which I've talked about in many lessons, because it's coming up a 4th, okay, there's some tension. Hey Billy, you're right. How you doing? Because there's some tension in that B flat chord before the change, we can add the altered scale. There's a few other things we can use, like a half diminished, like half whole scale. But yeah, we can. You can hear it brings in that tension before the change. So that's a really nice place where that tension is before the B flat. Okay, so I can imply that with if I'm comping as well. If I'm playing a B flat 13, I can flatten that 13. Haha, Billy, we need licks from you, brother. Happy New Year. So I can play from the 13. I can flatten that 13, which goes nicely to the E flat. So the 1 to the 4 chord. If you see this on a chart, you can go from the root, and it goes up a 4th. You can play many things, okay? You can pretty much play anything, let's say, as long as you resolve it. But what you can play is a thing called the altered scale. So the way to do this, B flat, go up 1 fret. This is just a simple way I like to teach it. I wouldn't necessarily think of it like this because I'm thinking over the chord itself, but if you want to get into this kind of stuff and playing, this is an easy way to start with. So B flat goes to an E flat, right? So what I do, B flat, move it up 1 fret and play a melodic minor scale. So you've got this. So again. You can hear it wants to resolve it. So if I am playing the track, I'll tell you what the scale is actually. That would help. So a melodic minor, if we're looking at, it's the altered scale. But what the intervals are, if I just tell you, so it's, you go B flat, move it up 1, play a melodic minor. So you're basically playing B melodic minor. So it's, I'll read out the frets first, I'll call out the frets. So it's 7, 9, 10 on the low E, 7, 9 on the A, 6, 8, 9 on the D. This is the position I'm showing you now anyway, because like I said, I'm keeping it all to one position. So where did I get to? Okay, so from the low E, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9 on the A, 6, 8, 9 on the D, 6, 7, 9 on the G, 7, 9 on the B, 6, 7 on the high E. So you can hear. So if you put that just before the change on a blues, I mean, like Billy's writing here, he's got the vocab of like a blues. I'm not really a blues player, but I can, like I was saying earlier, I'm just respecting the chords basically. Yeah, for sure. I think timing. So I'll tell you where to put it in, like where I feel like I put it in if I play from the start. So if I'm like, that's bar 1, second bar, 3. On the 4th bar, that would be a great place before it goes to that E flat. So that is a really great place where you can put that kind of... So I'll try and play along. So yeah, I'd put the altered scale here. There. So that is a really good place to put it just before that 4 chain goes to that 4 chord. If anyone didn't hear that, I'll do it again. So yeah, I've got to make sure I resolve it. So what am I resolving to, and what do I mean by the word resolve? I'm meaning going to this E flat, right? So I'm really targeting maybe the 3rd or the root or the 5th. So it's really good practice. Just try and practice with the metronome probably first, but just try and practice that last bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, resolve. So altered scale, resolve. So it'd be like, you can just do like quarter notes to begin with. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm landing on my 3rd. So it's like, so again, I'm playing, what I'm thinking is over the B flat 7 just before the change to E flat, I'm playing a B flat altered scale. So just move it up 1 fret and play a melodic minor. So melodic minor again, I'll play it slow. So even playing it this slow, you can hear it wants to resolve, right? You can also play like a half whole scale. So if I'm playing like B flat, you can also play half whole. But the altered scale is fine. But like you can play diminished lines. So that's quite a nice, just like if I'm playing the altered, I like to do this as well. If I'm targeting that root of that E flat, say, I'm going like a chromatic enclosure. So that's always nice. So you're getting a bit more into the jazz here rather than the blues. So that's a bit of tension we're bringing in there between the 1 and the 4 chord. Okay. So I'm about to go to the 5 chord here. Okay, so again, first, this is the start now, okay? So I'm just bringing in that tension before the 4 chord. It's nice. And you can, again, if the chords aren't there, you can hear on that change where that happens because you're implying the changes even more by outlining a bit of tension before it. Has anyone got any like questions or anything about that? I've pinned the backing track at the top actually if you want to have a go, and the chord chart's obviously on the screen. It's good to practice without the backing track, to be honest. That's what I've spent a lot of time doing, but it just helps you be able to hear it a bit more, I guess. So we're on that 4 chord now, right? And I've talked about a lot about saying, you know your scales from everywhere. So I'm thinking predominantly B flat minor pentatonic, but B flat mixolydian, when it goes to E flat, thinking E flat mixolydian, and over the F, F mixolydian. So like I said to you, don't just learn one shape. And then when I go to E flat, I use the same shape, because you're just going to be hard done by. It's too much movement, and you're not just going to be able to flow between lines, for voice leading especially. So over this E flat chord, okay, there's another melodic minor I like to use from the melodic minor mode. So this is over the 4 chord, because it's a non-functioning dominant, okay? So what do I mean by that? So over this B flat, right, it was a functioning dominant because it went somewhere. It went up a 4th, which is a common thing to do when you're moving chords, okay? This E flat just stays on here. You can think of it as quite static. I know it's only 2 bars, but then it comes back up to the B flat. So it's non-functioning. So what we can do on that is play a scale called the Lydian dominant. So here I'm thinking the mixolydian scale, like I played earlier, but then sharpening the 4th, so you get this sound. So what is this? This comes from B flat melodic minor. So basically the shape I've just used for the altered, I can just move a semitone below and play for when it goes to E flat. So I can almost just skip that, go straight into that Lydian dominant. Almost, you want to resolve it first, but you could just go, think B melodic minor, then to B flat melodic minor. So that is E flat Lydian dominant is the same as B flat melodic minor. So this sharp 4 sounds really tasty over that E flat, so I'll give that a go and show you. So again, B flat, altered, so there I played the Lydian dominant over that E flat. Then you come back to the B flat. Does that make sense? So if you really want to bring in some tension, but it's nice to resolve it. If I just do the B melodic minor straight into the B flat melodic minor, it might sound a bit disjointed and a bit too much. Depends how, like, I guess, tension, how much tension you want. So if I'm like, yeah, you can get away with it, I think. You can just bring that tension on as much. Like, for instance, when you're going from the 1 to the 4 chord, okay, you know, it's always nice to resolve it on the beat. So like going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But sometimes delaying that resolution is quite cool as well. You hear it on like straight ahead jazz. So like, for instance, going from that 1 to the 4 chord, so the B flat to the E flat, when I play the B altered chord, 100%. So if I do this, B flat, altered. See, I delayed it slightly. I wasn't on the beat. I'm already in bar 2 of the E flat 7. Yeah, drum fill, 100%, Billy. Like when you think of like a drum fill ready to go to the next beat 1, like a drummer would normally put it at the end of a bar, right? That's what I'm thinking. If you went too early, you've really got to, like, you know, be committed. But yeah, so that's another thing you can do, just to delay the resolution to the next chord. So again, B flat to start with. Then I'm going to play B flat altered and hold it for a bit longer. See, just held that altered scale right pretty much through that E flat and then resolved when it comes back in with the B flat. But yeah, I'll go over that Lydian dominant again. So here's the B flat. That's that sharp 4. So over the E flat, that's your sharp 4, and obviously when you come back in with the B flat, that's like your major 7 now. So you have to make sure you come back in on that route. But yeah, like Billy was saying, like having have that flavour, like when you're thinking about a drum fill, a drummer. It's always thinking musically. If I start playing that altered scale really early, if I'm committed straight away into that altered and go, you know, I'm in it for too long. The whole point of the tension is you put it at the right time and you have to release it at the right time. But what I'm saying is, like, delaying that release can be really cool as well. It's a good challenge as well. So over that E flat, like I said, you can play Lydian dominant. When you come back to the B flat, you could play B flat Lydian dominant, to be honest, because at that particular point, when it comes B flat, then you're going to the F7. It's kind of a non-functioning dominant, right? Because it's not moving up a fourth is what you consider. So you could play B flat Lydian dominant when it comes back up. So that comes from F melodic minor. So you can think F melodic minor over that B flat. So I'll try and call all these out. So mixolydian and pentatonic, altered, Lydian dominant, then B flat Lydian dominant, then F mixolydian. It's hard to say it at the same time, it changes a bit quick. So what I was doing is B flat like pentatonic, mixo, then altered into the E flat, Lydian dominant, B flat. You can use the Lydian dominant there as well because it's non-functional when it goes back, when it comes to the F7 then F7 I'm just thinking like mixolydian, and I'm making sure I hit my chord tones. Then it goes back to the 4 chord where you can play the Lydian dominant again, or because it moves so fast, I'm really just thinking like hitting chord tones really. Right, now on the chart you see, if you're reading it on the last line, you've got the F7, E flat 7, then it goes to back to the B flat. Right, so if I just play the last little bit, it will go. Normally what would happen, okay, I guess 90% of the time, you would go back to the 5 chord before going back to the B flat at the start. So it would sound like this. So what that gives us is, yeah, I'm really happy with this PRS. It's an SE as well, would you believe? What that gives us is a 5 to the 1. So if you go back to the F7 there, for that last chord, which you've heard a billion times, or like the Hendrix chord, the sharp 9 chord, very common to go back to the blues, to the B flat. So that's a 5 to the 1, isn't it? So again, what did I do earlier? When it jumps up a fourth, because F up a fourth is to the B flat again. A fourth up is a B flat, right? Like I did first of all, I put the altered scale in, so going from the B flat to the E flat, I played to go to the E flat, right? I can do the same here. So going from the F back to the B flat, I know it's not on the chart and I know it doesn't play it, but I can imply it even though it's not there, because I'm bringing in tension. Like even if you hear over this last bit, right? So I'll show you. So it's what? So it's F7, E flat 7, B flat. So it doesn't play it, but I can go. For it comes back around to the beginning of that B flat, I can apply a 5 chord, so I can play the altered scale again if I want to. So in this case, it would be F altered. So again, using that same rule, I take the F, I move it up 1 fret. So in this case, F is an F sharp, so I think F sharp melodic minor. So that's what I'm playing, F sharp melodic minor. And if I just play that scale, you can hear it wants to resolve back to that 1. So this is your F. I like to play it from here. Notice, guys, I'm not really moving around. It's easier to show you and teach you stuff where I'm in one position, because that way you can just, it's just easier. That's the way I go about practicing as well. If I do it, then I might go and play everything I've just taught down here. So play it in one space. That's why it's important to know your scales all over. But I'm just staying here, and look how much I've moved. I've managed to show you all that stuff like altered, Lydian dominant, and then another altered scale. But I'm keeping into one position. So I'm playing F altered here. So this would be the altered scale. You can think of it like I said, you move up 1 fret and just play melodic minor. If you want to think like that, that's fine. But if you want to think intervals, the altered scale gives you that, the flat 9, the sharp 9, the flat 5, and the sharp 5. So it's a really nice scale because you're bringing in all the tension notes. So I'll show you what that would sound like over the F, right? So this is the start of the progression again. So B flat, E flat, so right, it's back to the 1. So there, that's where I'd put in that F altered. I'll do that again because so it's right, 5, 4, right, so here. Brings in that tension before coming back to the start of the song. Anyone got any questions about that, and does that make sense? So I'm really thinking that you can hear it there, right? That's when I like a little lick there, guys, if you want to learn that one. That'd be an F altered lick. So I'm starting on the 9th fret on the B string. I'm just going 9, 7, 6, and then on the G, 8, 6, and then 7th fret on the D, pull off to the 6th fret on the D. So it's, or you can pick it up to you. Haha, go for it, Billy. So you got, then you land on the flat 9 of F, okay? And then you land on the root. So it's, sorry, well, it's the root of F, but at that point you're back to the B flat, which would be the 5th of B flat. So you got this. So even something like that, running up it like that, is quite a tasty way of. So I'll show you what that sounds like. So again, you're like 5, 4, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, so just something as simple as that. You're landing back on that 5th and the root at the perfect timing of resolving. So again, I'll show you what that sounds like again. So it's 5, 4, and here we go. We're going to play F altered. Oh, here we go. I'll play through the progression so you can. There you go. I was conscious of not playing much, but does that make sense? I'm just so I'm applying the altered scale on the 1 to the 4 chord, and I'm applying it from the 5 back to the 1. And you hear a lot of people, they'll put those extensions, those chords, instead of just playing an F7 to go back to the 1, you would play, it's my doorbell. I think it's a delivery. Yeah, I'll leave that, it's fine. Alright, mate. Get on, Janner. Yeah, so then that F7, a lot of people put that sharp 9 in. Or you could input the flat 9. Because you can hear it wants to resolve, so. So another nice one you can do, like on that altered, you could do like a little variation. So that's a little chromatic idea. So get on, boy. All right, yeah. So you got. So I just played this on that 5 chord to the 1. Right. You can do little chromatic things. So instead of me just going, I'm going. So it's 9, 8, 7, 9, and then back to 6. And then I come up the scale, whoops, as normal. So it's and of course you can like swing it if you want, like, or speed certain notes up to like. Whatever. Actually, sorry, on that G string it's chromatic as well, so it's. It helps if I play it right. Yeah, I'm picking all that as well. Not much of a picker now, but yeah, if you can pick that, would be great. So. Again, if I'm over that 1 chord, so this is the 1 chord going to the 4 chord. So there I was just like, you can end it up. Yeah, you can finish it anywhere really, but I'm just going, as long as I'm resolving back to that B flat, or whatever you want to do. So yeah, there's I mean, over that last chord as well, which is quite nice. Obviously over the F, you can play like F half whole diminished, or you can like just arpeggio. What I like to do is like over the F7, so F diminished. Hey man, how's it going? You can play an F diminished arpeggio. So you know I taught you this one a second ago. You can do an F diminished arpeggio. So I'm off the 3rd of F here. And then up the altered scale, so you get this kind of sound. That's nice, I think. And I hate the sound of diminished where it's like, you know, I just never use stuff like that. I just don't find it musical. But if you're playing it, I mean, you could combine that second line as well. That's quite cool. So, and like that little, keep it bouncy, you know, little triplet ideas. That kind of thing. If you can keep that digga, you know, you kind of get a nice bounce to that blues swing kind of feel, because on this track you can hear the drummers like, you know. So yeah, there's some ideas. I mean, I'm passionate about just like playing and stuff like that. But I've gone over an hour on just the simple blues thing. But that just shows you what you can do with it. Like, nothing's ever too, you know, simple, if it makes sense. Start simple. Like I said, like the first part I was just playing B flat minor pentatonic. Of course, you can switch to the pentatonics of each of these chords. So you can play B flat pentatonic on the B flat. Over the E flat, you can play E flat pentatonic. Over the F, you can play F pentatonic. Over the E flat, you can play E flat pentatonic. So if I switch pentatonics, that would sound like this. It sounds quite cool. So not a lot of people may think of it like that. You can switch pentatonics over each chord. So you can literally think of it like all in one. So like I'm just going to think over this as B flat minor pentatonic. That's fine. Like a lot of people would probably just do that. But if you really want to like zoom in on your playing, then you can really break things down. But after a while, it just sort of merges together. And the minute you're playing just like, yeah, I'm just playing B flat minor pentatonic. That's what it's the stage you're going to get to when you're thinking like altered here, I'm thinking melodic minor here, I'm thinking diminished here. All that becomes just one, but you have to sort of go and really drill a lot of these things. And there's like Billy in the chat knows, who's a wicked player. He's done all this kind of stuff. Yeah, anyone got any like questions about that? Because I went in quite hard on that. Oh yeah, let me try that diminished like over that last chord, which might sound cool. So it's the start of the track. That little bit. Obviously you have to put it in, play it within the context of the song. I'm not just going to go, you know. I'm not just going to do that. Play with this. I think it's some nice lines. Is there anything I've forgotten to do? Ha, Billy, you can. I've seen you play, mate. I'm just trying to think. Oh yeah. So over that B flat as well, before that change to the 4 chord on that E flat. Guys, if you have done so already, I've put, if you scroll up the chat, I've put my email. I'm taking on a few private students at the minute. Got limited availability, but yeah, send me an email if you would like some lessons. Because all this is free, and you know, YouTube doesn't pay me. So, well, tiny a bit, but not enough to live on. But I want to kind of do this more and more. So, you know, if you want private lessons and trying to get into the private tuition thing a bit more, shoot me an email. Yeah, over that 1 to the 4 chord, again, like I talked about playing, you can play the altered. What you can do is say take the tritone of B flat. So in this case, it's an E, right? That's the tritone, as in a tritone away. I know people that speak about the tritone, but they actually know what it means. So what a tritone means, okay, is we've got literally tritone, 3 tones away is an E. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3. So over that B flat, what I like to do is imply like just B flat triad. Or you can play like, sorry, over that B flat I like to play an E flat. Sorry, let me start again, my brain. Over the B flat I like to play an E triad. So basically if you play, you're bringing in the tension notes of that tritone against the B flat just before the change. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can outline the You can outline just an E7 arpeggio. Oops. Or you can just outline just outline an E triad basically. So if you know your E, like root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, you can just outline that. Just, you don't have to play a lot. And then bring in that. So basically in the chords, if I was to comp it and play rhythm, it would be like playing the tritone, which lands nicely to the 4 chord, right? So I can just play B flat, so I just snuck in a bit of E flat. I stuck in a bit of E to before E flat. Let me play it and then I can shut up. So I'm back to the start here. E flat, sorry, E. I'm trying to speak at the same time, I keep saying E flat. Yeah, so before that, change to the E flat, I should have said. I'm playing in E before moving. Let me play it again. So it's going to go back to the beginning here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Making sure I resolve to that E flat here. So I'm just playing, giving that sound of that tritone. So that's a nice one you can do, which like the altered scale does as well. But if you didn't want to just think scales, I'm just thinking like B flat, E, E flat. Or you could do just sidestep the minor pentatonic scale. So if I'm thinking B flat, just before the change, I might think E minor pentatonic, and then go into the E flat. So I'm thinking B flat. Just before the change, I'm going, instead of playing the altered scale, I can think E minor pentatonic, and then resolve it to the E flat. So I'll show you what that sounds like. So back to the start here. A couple of nice little ways to get tension. So I'm just going up a tritone and playing a minor pentatonic basically. So if I'm playing over B flat, I can play E minor pentatonic, and making sure I go to that E flat without anything going on. Sounds a bit weird, but if I play the chords before, so B flat, E pentatonic, back to B flat, F, E flat, B flat, then I played F altered to get me back to that B flat. Hope that kind of makes sense. Anyone got any like questions or stuff they want to ask, or anything else they want to know what I can play over it? I don't know. I'm sort of just, I would never think of, I never really think anymore. So I don't know how you guys think about this kind of progression, or how would you normally? Let me know how you would normally play over this progression. I think a lot of the default, if you were playing and you weren't thinking of changes, a lot of people would just play B flat minor pentatonic. I think they would think, right, this, we know the key of the song, B flat, and they would just play B flat minor pentatonic, which is fine. I mean, like I've said before, it sounds great. Like, there's a reason why the pentatonic is common to use, and people use it because it sounds good, you know. But yeah. yeah, is there a scale which other people want to know about, or is there a scale that maybe I haven't talked about, or you want me to go over again that you're not sure on? So what I used to do is just grab a chart like this and like print it out or whatever, or that's probably a bit old school, but or write them out. No, do it. But just write underneath each option that you can use over each chord, because one, it gets it out of your head, but it gives you that. Oh, thanks, Billy. Yeah, I mean, that's how I used to do it as well. Just keep to a chord center, then like you can really like break everything down into each chord and think about it all deeply. But then after a while, once you sort of at the first time of doing it, it's going to be like, what the hell is this? Is like so much thinking. But when I play that, guys, I'm not really thinking anymore, because I've just drilled those little things so small. Like, I wouldn't put on a backing track and play it. I would literally, okay, first things first is like, you can play, okay, you know the chord scales for each chord. And obviously you know where the chord tones of each chord. So B flat, I'm thinking, yeah, pretty much. But like here, I'm not playing any specific outside stuff. There is the reasoning for it. If you want to play really outside, you can literally just play anything. Like going up a semitone or something like that. That's one way of playing outside. But here, when I'm adding like diminished harmony and stuff, this is what you would play over those chords. But playing outside the key is a bit different. I would say I'm just trying to bring in as much tension as I can there. Yeah, first things first, like going back to the basics, is just like knowing your minor pentatonics all over the key in this key, for instance, B flat. Then trying to find the chord tones of each chord, so B flat, root, third, fifth, flat seven, root, third, fifth, seven. Then over the E flat, instead of me going up here and doing the same thing, you have to find it wherever you are. So again, from the E flat, I'm thinking root, third, fifth, flat seven, root, third, fifth. Obviously the fifth up here and the flat seven here as well. And then the F. So like third, if you like, fifth, flat seven, root, third, fifth, flat seven, root, third. Yeah, I'm thinking about function for sure. And a bit of both, I guess, but I'm definitely seeing the functioning. So between the B flat and the E flat, I'm seeing that B flat is going somewhere. Like I played that B flat altered, or I can play half whole diminished. Because it's going somewhere. If that B flat was staying there, right, I could play all that anyway. But then say if the B flat goes to an F7 like it does later on in the song, if you have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bar 8, B flat goes to F7, I wouldn't play B flat altered then. Because playing B flat altered is telling me it wants to go to that E flat, upper fourth. If I play B flat altered there, I'm going to the F, so it's going to sound like, you know, what the hell are you doing? You know, it may not sound like what the hell am I doing. It's going to create tension, but it's not the scale of choice I would use there. If anything, because that's a non-functioning B flat there at that point, I would play Lydian dominant, which is yeah, Lydian dominant scale. Mixolydian with a sharp 4 basically. So instead of it being... So yeah, that's the way to do it. The second thing after finding your chord tones is playing the scales of the chord scale of each chord. So this is why the blues is a really nice progression to start with if you want to start playing over changes, because they're all the same chord, they're all dominant chords. So there's way less thinking you have to think about. So for the B flat, I'm thinking B flat mixolydian. And again, like I keep saying, try and play them everywhere. Oops, he says. So you know them everywhere from each finger, really. The first, the middle, and the little. Off the E and the A strings at least. Because that way you're not moving about the scale so much. If I'm B flat, like I said, and then when I go to E flat, mixolydian, I'm not going, because I know one position on that E string with the middle finger. I'm going B flat, then I'm going, where's my nearest E flat around this area when I want to change? Oh, it's here. And look, I can just stay in the position. So a really good way to start doing this, guys, is playing over the progression. Play B flat mixolydian, E flat mixolydian, over the E flat, F mixolydian, over the F. But try and stick to one position of the neck. So I'll try and call it out as I go. I did this earlier, but it's, again, I can't stress this enough. It's a great exercise to do. So B flat mixo. E flat mixolydian. I'm picking my next nearest scale note. Back to B flat. F mixolydian. E flat. B flat. Still in B flat, so back to the start there. And you end up, when the chord changes, you end up on a different note each time. If you just do this. E flat. B flat. F. E flat. B flat. So B flat still. Flat, B flat, F, E flat, B flat. If that makes sense. Yeah, 100%. It's a nice one to do. Yeah. Also over that to get that B flat altered sound to the E flat, you can play A flat minor 7 flat 5 basically. So you get this. Brings you that 4 chord nicely. So A flat minor 7, A flat minor 7, flat 5. Gets you nicely to the. Oh, I played a minor third there, so it's nice to that. There's my dog scratching to get nice to get to that E. So I'm thinking, yeah, A flat minor 7, flat 5. Which is quite cool. That kind of sound. Yeah, you'll get there though, mate. You're on a great run. Cheers, Billy. Take care, buddy. We'll catch up soon. I'll give you a message. Go check Billy out, everyone. Great engineer as well, producer. If you want stuff doing, he's your man. Yeah. Anyone else got anything to? Hey, yeah. How's it going? In Tokyo. What's the time? What is the time in Tokyo? So yeah, I think I've covered quite a lot, guys. Yeah, you can do 2-5-1, go into the 4 chords. So if you're, I mean, I'd be thinking C, this would be like the 1. I mean, I never really think of the 2, so in this case it would be an F minor. You tell me. You tell me. I don't think anyone has discovered tips on dealing with women. I would just ultimately start with the, so in this case, if you're playing, this is your 2 chord, 5, 1. Okay, so minor 2, 5, 1. I would just really start on this F, on the flat 3. That's quite a nice one. So I'm going the minor 3rd of F. All that. There you go. That's it. Right, so there you go. Right, so you go flat 3 of F to the 5th of F. Then this takes you to the flat 9 of B flat. Coming up the altered, flat 9 of B flat, landing on the 5th of E. If that makes sense. There you go, you can have that one. Tips on dealing with women. Has anyone else got like, so tips on dealing with women? I mean, anyone else in the chat can help this dude out. What's your problem? What problems have you got, mate? What's going on? We can use this as a therapy session. If anyone's got any tips for him, please write below. He can help a dude out. So comping wise, obviously you can turn the B flat 7 into a B flat 13. And then just before the change, to bring in that tension, you can flatten that 13. So before the change to so yeah, I think you've cracked it. Tip 1. Don't. So yeah, you can, or you can do something like flat 9. So B flat 9 basically. The flat 9's nice, which is basically B minor 6 kind of sound. So you can play a B minor 6 like if you're it's also an A flat minor 7 flat 5 basically. Yeah, so B minor, because yeah, so you could play an A flat minor 7 flat 5. You can hear here if I'm like B flat. So playing like an A minor 7 flat, A flat minor 7 flat 5, which is basically the same as a B flat, the flat 9, B flat 7 flat 9. Oh. Yeah, I literally just forgot I was on the stream then. I was just thinking out loud. So plenty of there's loads what you can do over a standard B flat blues. Loads. You can go as minimal as you like and just stick to that pentatonic, and then that's what I would do. The first step, just outline it with a minor pentatonic blues scale. Then try to land on chord tones of each one of the chords. Then know your chord scales for each one, so mixolydian. Then on the 1 chord before the 4 chord, you can apply the altered scale, a bit of tension to go in. Over the 4 chord here, like I said, you can play Lydian dominant, so E flat Lydian dominant. Obviously keeping it within the blues context, I'm not going to start playing legato over it. Yeah, over that 5 chord, I just pinpoint just the chord tones of the F. Then when it goes back to the E flat again, and like I talked about over that last chord, I know it stays on B flat, but you can apply the 5 chord again. The main ones are the sharp 5, flat 5, sharp 9, flat 9. I like the flat 9. I do really like the flat 9. That sound of the flat 2 is nice, so I like it. Do you know what I mean? So like adding that flat 9 in. So like you can practice that. Just play like, if you play like a B flat arpeggio, B flat 7 arpeggio, add in the flat 9. Sometimes you just don't want to run up and down the whole scale, you know. Just adding that flat 9. You can hear if I go. It's nice. It's not over the top. You can hear it even if I play. That's what you want to practice, stuff like that in isolation, like. And practice resolving it from the 1 chord. Sorry. And outlining. I like the flat 9, that. Yeah. Anyone else got any questions? I might have to go in a second, but yeah, if anyone's got any questions they want me to like continue while I'm here, because I totally have not had breakfast and it's 12. I've just gone straight on the guitar. Yeah, anyone got any last questions? Yeah, please guys, like I said a few times, yeah, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. I've put my email in this chat if you look above, if anyone wants some private lessons. I'm taking on a few students at the minute, so please feel free to write an email. It's going to be very limited, but I am going to take some on. I like doing the YouTube stuff, but yeah, I work as well. So if you want to have some lessons, let me know. But yeah, has anyone got any last little questions before I shoot? Oh. Thanks. I really, yeah, no, thank you. Thanks to you guys. I mean, this is all like down to you. Like I've said in many of my lesson videos, like you dictate what I play in the lessons. You know, what do you guys want to see? And I overthink this a lot. Like I'm like, well, what should I do today? I don't know. Well, you have to rely on what people want to see. I think this is why YouTube so much. I prefer it than any other social media thing, because you get this interaction. It's not just like a doom scroll of just 2 seconds. I hope to think that you can learn some stuff with it, because I do. You know, I learn anything I want to find out about. You go on YouTube, don't you? Whether it's blooming changing a light bulb, if you need to be shown how to do that. But you know what I mean. It's educational more than anything, and it's more of a community. I think there's less like dickheads here as well, if I don't say so. Yeah, right. I think I better go. Hour and 40, absolutely tipping down in rain. My dog wants to be fed as well, so I'm not going to be let off. Who was the guy who's written the thing about tips with dealing with women in the chat? Are you okay? Just before I go, just make sure, blink twice if you're fine, or you're okay. Blink twice, and then let us know you're okay. Give us 3 rings when you get back home. Cool. Right. Cheers, guys. I will leave you to it. Probably upload a video tomorrow, I would say. But if you haven't done so, like I say, check out my other ones. I did a cool one with Alex Hutchins, I thought, yesterday. It was nice to jam, like online visual jam. But anyway, it was cool. I'm enjoying doing this stuff for you guys. So please like the video here, like the live video. I will leave this live up for you to check out if you want to watch it back, because there's a lot of just crap I went on with, and I can't remember what I talked about anyway. So yeah, guys, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.